This barn hasn't been opened since 1991, and it hides what many might consider to be the trifecta of MOPAR history. And after driving from Cleveland, Ohio to Pennsylvania, we stumbled upon this beautiful red barn where the owner took us inside to see what was abandoned.
Holy smokes. Watch your step, bro.
This is, wow, nuts.
In the pictures, I didn't like the Charger nearly as much, but in person, it's beautiful. I love the color.
And at this point, it was time to get the owner and talk about the first car of the bunch that we were going to work on, which is a Plymouth Satellite.
I bought it in Virginia, and basically I bought it more or less to redo, but the thing is, you know, it's like the bumper and, you know, just about every panel had a dent or something in it, you know, that she had hit something, you know.
It looks very similar to the GTX that you have out front, but this is a Satellite.
Satellite Sebring is what this is. The Sebring was like their upscale package. It's got air conditioning. It doesn't have power windows.
Like a luxury sport vehicle today?
Like basically a luxury vehicle compared to the Roadrunners.
It's been here for quite a long time. It looks like the sticker says 1991. That's when she got put in there?
Yeah, it would be 91 because I had it inspected as far as that goes.
Well, we're in this barn here, and there's one door there. There's two more cars behind us that we're very interested in doing as well. But you know, you have to start with the one that's most accessible. And my personal favorite is the one that's the farthest away. But I'm excited to learn more and more about this. Hopefully, you know, you said you drove it in here, so maybe the guys at Power and Performance can help us get it turn over.
I don't think there'd be too much trouble getting it running, but I mean, it's going to take some spark plug. Well, it all depends on what kind of the wiring the critters have chewed on.
We had just bought an IROC-Z Camaro, and the guy said that you know, it should fire right up, and sure enough, the motor's a bit locked up. So actually, when we drop this guy off, we're going to see if they were able to free it up and try and get that running. So nothing against you, but the amount of times we've been told that something should run and then it doesn't run is probably more than I can count now.
Well, like when I first originally purchased this, the guy said that it came from California, and it was basically like the little old lady from Pasadena. You know, she had it since new.
And only took it to church on Sundays kind of deal?
Everything that she had done on it, he had receipts for it. Now, I don't know if I still had them in the glove compartment or if I took them out. I can't remember now. As far as the engine goes, she had it tuned up every 6 months to a year or whatever, and I'll tell you what, it was the smoothest running engine I've ever seen. You know, I mean, it didn't even move. You couldn't even see it move inside the car.
No worries, it's dry in here, so I think there's a good chance we're going to be able to get this one running over at Power and Performance. And while we're there, we're going to check up on WD's IROC-Z to see if they were able to free that motor up and to see if we can get that thing to run. So definitely stay tuned to both see if this car will run and to see if we either made a good financial choice or an extremely poor one. But with that being said, I guess the next thing is to go ahead and open the door, back the trailer up, and get this Plymouth out.
Before attempting to pull the car out, we're going to go ahead and try to fill up the tires, which a lot of people are surprised that even after not being filled up for 33 years, these tires will still hold air. I don't know what it is, but tires back in the day were made way better than they are now.
Cool. Yeah, let's go ahead and turn the wheel. I get under the cars. Mike gets in the cars. I don't know who gets the better end of the stick.
Me.
Yeah, Brent does. For sure, he's standing in the trailer. He's really good at editing. Really, really good. That's why his hands are always clean. All right, ready? So it seems like every time I give this spiel, I'm always soaked in sweat after loading the car. We are traveling around, dragging these iconic muscle cars out of barns, and we're willing to travel. So if you have a car, it doesn't need to be a muscle car, but it needs to be an enthusiast vehicle that looks like this, that's covered in dust and dirt, please reach out to us here and let us know what you have, let us know where you are, and please send pictures. And although I appreciate everyone emailing us and sending their cars, many are not dirty. If you don't get a response from us, it's because your car is not dirty enough. And I apologize, I'd love to respond back to all of you, but our whole channel is based on dirty cars. So we need them to look like this or something like this, and they have to be somewhat cool. So please reach out, we'd love to come meet you. And we also do all this work absolutely for free. But with that being said, we gotta close up shop here, head back to Cleveland, and get this sucker out of the trailer. All right, so we made it back safe and sound with the Plymouth Satellite. And the first impression that I have is we have a lot of work ahead of us. This thing is a huge car, and it is absolutely covered from head to toe in dust and dirt. I love the front grille. It almost looks like they took inspiration from a hammerhead shark head, But yeah, aside from that, I really don't know much about why they made this car, what market segment that it filled. What I do know is that not only are we gonna have to clean everything, but I'm gonna have my work cut out for me polishing because it was repainted. I can tell right here that it used to be this kind of gold mustardy color, and then it was painted this brown color, much like the Corvette that we did with Mr. Robbie Layton, which a lot of people either loved or hated. I don't know if I like or hate it, but I'll let you guys decide for yourselves in the comments below, because it's always a hit or miss. You either love it or you hate it, and I don't know where I stand so far.
So just like RJ, I didn't know a lot about these cars, and I don't know a lot about a lot of the cars that we get, but with what we do, I get a chance to learn, which is awesome. This was more of a luxury-based car from them for the same segment, because this is a B-body car. RJ, can you tell me what other Mopar is a B-body car? Can you just give me a guess?
A Challenger and a Charger.
Okay, he's got one of those right. So the Challenger is one, the Super B was one, Superbird is also related to this car. So underneath this skin, it's basically the same frame, same chassis as all these other cars. So it has like the soul of all those muscle cars.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes me think more highly of it.
Exactly. But this car wasn't, you know, as famous because those cars took all the light from the situation, being the fast, powerful cars. So this kind of flew under the radar, even though it is quite a beautiful car, and I think it's cool. I don't think they ever really put big motors in the satellites like they did with the GTX with the 440. I think it's still cool. I think it's a great little car. Like, you gotta imagine this. This is the V6 Charger of today, sort of. You know, your grandma would buy this car. It looks nice, drive it around, have a good time with it. It's still cool.
That doesn't build the case, the V6
It
Charger of
does, it
today.
does. This car looks sick, but it was for everybody, you know? It wasn't extremely expensive. Just because you want it to be cool, powerful all the time, it doesn't need to be. Also,
power,
another
baby.
question I have for you, since you're like 10 years old. When did Plymouth go under business? They went out of business.
Oh man.
Because I remember seeing Plymouth all over the road when I was a kid. This happened in 2001. That was 23.
You didn't even let me guess, dude. I was gonna say 2001, 2002.
No, he wasn't. He wasn't going to say anything like that. We know he wasn't. That was 23 years ago.
All right. No more coffee for you before we work.
23 years ago.
All right. Mike's been yelling at me all morning. I think we should. We actually have to vacuum off the exterior so it doesn't get wet, soaked, and stick underneath our tile here in the shop. So that's first plan of action. Then we'll move on to the wheels.
All right, let's take a look in the trunk.
That's a smell I'm used to, unfortunately. Let's see, we have the little mouse bars. Actually, Mike, have I ever told you about the guy that emailed us saying that Brent leaves in our flatulence in the videos?
What?
Yeah, he literally said, he sent us a scalding email where he claimed that Brent purposely adds clips of us flatulating in the videos as like a disrespect to the viewers.
What? No way.
I swear to God, he was very, very upset. So to you, sir, no, we do not put those in our videos. We would never do that on purpose. We'd never want to subject our audience to that. But we do work on very stinky cars all the time, and we become stinky in the process. And that kind of translates over to our own personal vehicles, which is why I'm thankful that this video sponsor is Drift.
Drift is a super affordable subscription service for air fresheners for your car, which keeps your nose from becoming blind to the pleasant smell it's emitting. In different scents each month keep your car feeling new. They also use eco-friendly materials including sustainably sourced wood and use essential oils for the scents, all while being vegan, cruelty-free, and pet-friendly. The scent we were sent is called Bungalow, which reminds me of the smell you smell when walking into the beach house you rented for a week-long vacation right on the water. Lastly, they put a lot of thought into the design of the air freshener so it matches just about any interior and it sits right above your head on the visor, so you're always close to the awesome aroma.
Although working on all these dirty cars can make us stink by the end of the day, at least we can get in our personal cars and be hit with the sweet smells of Drift. So go check out Drift at drift.co and use code detailing or scan this QR code and get 55% off your first order. That's literally less than $5 for your first month of Drift, which is crazy because you can't even get a sub sandwich anymore for $5. Thank you so much to Drift for sponsoring this video, and to the gentleman who thinks that Brent leaves our flatulence in our videos, we do not, and I'm sorry that you heard whatever you heard, but it wasn't Brent doing it on purpose, I promise. I promise, we wouldn't do that to you guys. Anyways, thank you, Drift. Let's get back to the Plymouth.
Now we're going to move on to cleaning the wheels, and although they're not in the greatest shape in the world, I wanted to see if I could also polish up the metal afterwards. So once we fully cleaned off the rims and the tires, we took metal polish and some steel wool, and we were able to at least make somewhat of a transformation and remove the oxidation from the years of sitting. But realistically, as you'll see as we go through this entire detail, this car specifically needs a lot of work, both on the paint and on the wheels. Which brings me to the question of the video, so leave your answers in the comments below. When we find cars that are like this, that are super cool and super dirty, but we're told that the final result might not be as insane as you guys might want to see because the paint isn't in that great of condition, do you think it's still something that we should pull out of these barns and cosmetically restore on our channel? Or do you kind of feel let down at the end of the video if it's not 100% perfect to what our standards or your standards would be? Let us know how you feel and if you want us to keep doing videos just like this one in the future in the comments below. Now we're going to start pressure washing off all the dust on the car, and make sure you guys keep watching because after we get the exterior cleaned, we're going to check in with Adam at Power and Performance because he's been doing some side work on the Camaro IROC-Z from last week's video, and he's been filming a little bit for us without us even knowing, and we're going to see what he's been able to accomplish on that car, so keep watching. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe I am, but is it just me, or do most of the American rear ends of cars from this time period all look the same? The more I see them, the harder they are to tell apart. And for the vinyl top, we're going to clean it by using a degreaser first and pressure washing it away, then re-degreasing it and using some stiff brushes, pressure washing that away. And what you'll notice is that a lot of the dye over time has left the chat. So that means in the future when the owner goes to repaint this car, which he does plan to do, he's also going to have to redo the vinyl top. And before we find out what engine's in this car, let's clean the undercarriage real quick too.
All right, so we didn't know what engine was actually in this satellite, and so I found the VIN plate right here and found the last 13 digits that I went and put into a MOPAR VIN decoder. and it says that it is obviously a Plymouth Satellite, but apparently the same make as a Plymouth Belvedere. I'm not sure what the difference is, but it does say it's a Plymouth Belvedere Satellite, and it does have the 318 cubic inch motor. So obviously not the big 440 that Mike was saying that came in, you know, the sport editions, the GTXs, but bigger than like the smallest engine that came in these cars. And it was made in St. Louis, Missouri. So we got all that information from a couple of beep beep boops, and now we also see the initial color that this car was, which is almost like a mustard gold, which I really don't like, especially when you look at the interior and the vinyl hardtop. I don't think it blends nearly as well as the chocolate brown that they painted it.
As you can tell, there's some critters living in here, that's for sure. There's a bunch of stuff down here. And also, he was doing some work. He mentioned that he tried to put fuel over through this pipe to try to fuel this vehicle. We're gonna see about getting this one up and running, but...
Oh, what are you pulling out there, dude? No, it's not good. I see the distributor cap over here is missing multiple wires as well, so...
Mice wreaking havoc.
Oh,
Mice
boy.
wreaking havoc.
So we'll get some plugs and wires, we'll bring all this to the guys at P&P and just see if we can make car noises like usual. But first, we should probably clean this engine bay up.
Hey there, WD family. So I'm just starting to dig into the wonderful 3rd gen Camaro IROC-Z. Just started pulling some of the really crusty parts off. As you can see here, I took the intake off and it's not looking that pretty inside the throttle there, and this thing is pretty locked up, so I need to loosen that up. Pulled all the spark plug wires off, pulled the belts off down here to make sure that this stuff was actually turning, because those were kind of crusted onto the pulleys there. And if we look back here in the back, I have removed the distributor cap, the rotor, and whatever else kind of melted components that I found back in the back there. And we can actually look at those on the table. You can see kind of how hot all this stuff got. So there's your distributor cap, here's your coil, here's your rotor. So everything's pretty well melted. Some more components, all your spark plug wires. I think there's only actually one wire left that's usable out of all of them. The rest of them are dead ends. That's kind of the first step, is I'm just kind of gonna go through all this. Next, I'm gonna pull the spark plugs out, see what they look like, maybe spray some oil down in the cylinders, and just start going through all the components to see what we got kind of going on. Man, I think I got some good news for you guys. Let's take a look at some of the more parts I've removed, some of the more things I found. As you can see here, we've got all of our spark plugs, and they actually look pretty decent. So that's a real good sign. I've also unbolted the throttle body because it doesn't move, so I'm lubing that up, trying to get that freed up. That way we can get some movement out of those throttle blades. I have pulled all the belts off and actually got this thing to turn over. So if I go ahead and grab a wrench, check this out. Turns right over. So that's a real good sign right there. I've taken the upper pendulum just to give us more access to see what we got going on underneath. I've also got the throttle body here, and now it opens and returns by itself. So that's been freed up. That's good to go. One of the things I did notice, and you guys probably saw that too, was it was a tough car to push. And the front wheels turn very easily, but the rear drums did not. And it took a good 4 or 5 guys to be able to push this thing around at a nice snail's pace. So I've gone ahead and removed these aluminum drums off the back. They do have a steel sleeve in them. So those are both off of there. I'm gonna make some adjustments, get that so it turns a lot easier, and then we can push this thing in and out of the shop as we're working on it, and hopefully getting to the point where we get it running. That's kind of the next update on your IROC-Z. Let's keep rolling on under hood and get these brakes kind of wrapped up, and we'll see what we can come up with.
All right, on to the interior of this Plymouth Satellite. This is actually a very comfortable seat, a nice place to be, besides how dirty it is, obviously. This interior, pretty bare bones, but it does have a couple niceties that you wouldn't really find in some of these cars from the 70s, like a radio, AC and heat, and I'm not sure why it has this little button up here, but it says RR speakers, so I'm assuming it's the rear speakers. So I don't know if this just turns them on and off. It's an interesting feature. This car was pretty optimistic, I'd say, with its top speed of 150 miles an hour, which I love the idea of it, but I don't know if this guy will ever get there. I don't think that this is an original cover, but my grandpa used to have a cover just like this, where it was the wrapped leather. It says SKC on it, so I'm assuming that's an aftermarket company that you could buy and put these on here, but I don't want to rip this off. I kind of like this kind of thing on older cars like this. This was a time where a lot of companies were moving away from using real wood and using this fake veneer wood, which still has a luxurious look to it, but it's pretty evident that it's not real. But as you can see, this car is very dirty, and looking around it more while I was talking to you, I just noticed what I think is a mouse, so I'll see if I am right. Brent, if you could zoom in. I think this guy, I don't know if it is, but I'm gonna have to pick it up here. I think this is his tail. Yep, I was right. That's a gross mouse corpse. With that being said, I'm going to get my mask on and get started on this interior.
So we get started vacuuming the interior. I wanted to get your guys' live feedback on the segment we did with Adam. Is that something you'd want us to incorporate more into our future videos, where he works on past cars of ours, trying to get them running from other videos, and then we update you guys on them in the future, just like we're doing with the IROC? So we did it last week, and then we're updating you with the progress he's making on it. Did you like that segment? Is it something you want us to do moving forward? And don't forget, there's still more to come at the end of the video, but let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments below. For the seats, these actually cleaned up very nicely, and we had to pull out all the stops, including the steamer, but once we pulled the tape line, you'll see that 50-50, and it's super satisfying because of how clean we got it. For the center console, we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to clean up the metal first because it's super rusted and we don't want to get the metal polish all over the console after we already cleaned it.
All right, Brent. You remember I told you that I had Hot Wheels of these cars?
Yeah.
Let me show you. So that guy had a 440 with a 6-pack, the GTX, and I've actually had this little car for over 24 years.
Dude, that looks exactly like the car that was in his driveway.
And then check this out. I didn't even know I had this one. Well, I didn't even know what it was. This is actually a satellite.
The car that we're working on right now?
It says satellite super tiny there. I never noticed. There's no way you're going to pick it up on camera.
Oh, that's so cool.
But this is the exact cars that we're working on, and now I get to play with them in real life.
So you've had those since you were a kid?
I've had these for at least 24 years, because these were made in 2000.
That's really funny.
Now it's time to take a look at the satellite before I start polishing, and off rip I can tell that this is an awful paint job. You have high and low spots, you have awful blending, and then on top of that it's chipping and showing the original color here, and that's actually why I'm not going to be polishing this car, because the owner plans on doing a full restoration and repainting the whole exterior of the car. I'm very thankful because this is awful paint to work with. This is like a single stage enamel that's really tacky and doesn't like heat much, but I didn't want to leave you guys hanging, so I went ahead and polished this quarter panel, this rear fender on the back of the car, to show you guys what it could look like if I went and spent a lot of time actually polishing it. In order to get a result like this, I had to wet sand that whole entire panel, I had to rotary compound it with a wool pad, and then I had to finish it up with a foam pad and a light polish on the rotary as well. This kind of paint really does not like heat at all, so you can't really use heat to your advantage. You have to rely strictly on friction and the polishes and pads that you're using, and a little bit of technique, or a lot of bit of technique. Even on this panel, you can tell all the high and low spots and poor blends. It really was painted like crap, to be honest. So I just wanted to show you guys what it takes to actually get that to look like that, but I'm not gonna spend 25 hours and waste a ton of product and waste a ton of material in order to make this car look like that quarter panel, because he's gonna end up repainting the whole entire vehicle anyway. So unfortunately, I'm gonna leave it there and save myself 25 hours of my time.
Now, although we can't make the paint look very nice, what we can do is shine up the chrome to at least give it some sort of pop for the end result and for when we get the reaction at the end of the video.
All right, Mike. Day's almost done. All we gotta do is put those seats into the Plymouth, and then we can wrap for the day.
I'm tired, man. Real tired.
I'm pretty tired too, but I think Brent hired I don't know, he hired someone new, he said.
The
he
new
said,
guy?
Yeah, he said the new guy's gonna help with some labor, but he's got a weird name.
What was it?
It's called Big Guns.
Oh, he's called Big Guns?
Listen, I didn't name him. He said his mom gave him the name Big Guns, or at least that's what Brent said, so.
All right, I guess call him in.
All right, Big Guns!
What?
I need you to put that chair in the car.
I didn't sign up for this.
Well, Brent hired you, man. Talk to the boss. Oh my God.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, all right. Brent, where did you find this guy? Oh my God. All right. Well, it's a driver's seat. It's a driver's seat.
Oh, it's a driver's seat. And it gets some extra cardio in, extra steps.
Where did you find him?
This one right here. Where do you want this, in the trunk? That's on your side? All right, sounds good. There you go.
All right, Brent, pay him and let him know. Let him know this is
Today might be his first and last day.
short-lived employment. All right, okay, all right. See you, Big Guns. Hey, Big Guns!
What is it? What is it?
Can you pick the seat up? I can't say anything.
Well, now that Big Guns put the seats back in the car, we're gonna go ahead and finish up the detail and then take it to Power Performance and see if we can get this thing running again.
Hey, 430. Big, Mr. Guns. Mr. Guns.
Yeah.
Can you move the car forward for us? It'll take a second.
No problem. This is for you, Dad. Good enough?
Good. All right, guys, we're here with Adam and Tim from Power and Performance, and they are going to help us figure out if we can get this car to run. I'm assuming we're not going to be able to get it running and driving because the brakes don't work at all. And to be honest, we're on a bit of a time crunch today because we have the Camaro to check out and get some updates on. But before that, we just want to see if maybe we can put some new spark plugs, some new wires on this, and see if we can't get it to turn over.
So you brought it to the right place. We do a lot of MOPARs. You can see all around you. You got a 69 Charger behind you. There's a CUDA over there. I don't know if you can see it through the window. There's a CUDA. And I thought there might be more in the background. In the back building, we have a couple other B-bodies. I think we've had a couple of these in here for like routine maintenance and stuff like that. But the first thing I wanted to look at, even before looking under the hood or looking under the car, was the VIN. First digit of that VIN is an R. Is it correct? Or am I correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then what is the second digit?
RP?
So that's a premium package.
Yes.
So what does that tell us about the car? It tells us that it wasn't a base model, right? Now, to be honest, I don't think the 72 Satellite is like a super desirable vehicle, but I think it's special in its own right because 72 was the first year that you were not able to get a Hemi in any Dodge product. They discontinued the Hemi after 1971, and they did not bring it back until 2003. So there was a 30-year span of no Hemi, and I don't know, some people would look at this car and maybe say this signifies that era for me because it just doesn't do it for me like a earlier B-body or something like that does. You know, we were deprived of the Hemi, which is ironic that you bring it up in 2024 because supposedly this is the last year of the Hemi again. We're gonna lose the Hemi again. Who knows, maybe in 2060, there'll be another Hemi. I don't know.
Gen 5?
It'd be Gen 4. We're on the Gen 3
we're on
right
the Gen
now.
3.
So
Maybe electric Hemi.
I mean, yeah, if you have a hemispherical battery. Okay, so the goal for this one, RJ, is what? What are we looking at?
I guess we should just pop the hood. And I'll tell you what my thoughts are. So there's this cord right in front of you that supposedly he was using to pump fuel into it because he drained the fuel from the carburetor back, but not from the tank forward. So it should be dry in there. Aside from these wires that are chewed up, which I do have replacements, it looks like everything is in order. So if she turns and the starter fires, maybe we can get it to run off a water bottle, or at least almost start up. So the goal is to just kind of do a quick diagnostic on the engine itself and see if we can't get it to make some car noises.
Just started looking over some things. We got fluids everywhere, so that's a really good sign. And we're gonna see now if it'll actually turn over by hand. And not looking super, not very easily though. As tight as that is, I would probably want to oil up the cylinders a little bit, that way, because who knows what kind of corrosion's down in there. And that way, since it's so tight, it should be a lot smoother than that. We should be able to crank it over a lot easier than that. So things might be sticking in there. A little bit of oil in the cylinders and then working it a little bit more would probably be a safer bet with this.
So that kind of brings me to, I guess, a question that we want to ask you guys is, do you feel like it's valuable for us to be pulling these cars and trying to see if we can get them running? You know, at some point there's diminishing returns to trying to get a car started, especially with a short time frame and vehicles that aren't ours. If we're going to try and get all these cars started, we wouldn't be able to make videos every single week because we'd spend multiple weeks on one car. I don't know, we're kind of in a little bit of a pickle when it comes to bringing these cars that have been gone, you know, so far gone. And we just want to know what you guys think, if you appreciate us actually trying to get them started, or if you feel like we don't go far enough on them, or let us know what your thoughts would be so we can make better content for you. But speaking of locked up engines, we did bring that Camaro here last week and we thought that the engine was locked up, and I told Adam to continue to tinker with it to see whether or not we made a really big mistake, or maybe just a mild mistake, or maybe we actually came out on top. So I guess we should go take a look at it and see what you found out. We've been looking for an IROC-Z forever, and we bought this vehicle and then we took it over here to Power and Performance, and when we brought it here, the engine was locked up. But if you haven't seen that video, go check it out before you watch this part of this video, because we're gonna figure out if the motor's still locked up or if Adam worked his magic and maybe we're gonna hear this thing start today. First thing I noticed is Adam brought the jump box here, and then he also ripped up the back carpet up here, which means that he's been messing around with the gas tank. So it's already looking promising.
Not too much has changed visually, but you can see I do have the new distributor cap, coil, wires, everything back here. I did have to replace about 6 or 7 wires that were completely melted and gone. And I still have a couple left that I have to chase. I don't think they're important right now to getting it started. The throttle body was locked up from before, we couldn't even turn it, so it took a couple hours of sitting in some penetrating oil for that to actually free up to get to this point. So we're good there. Initially when I put power to it, it didn't really crank over. I had to tap the starter a couple times just because everything, from sitting in the mud, you know, everything just gets condensation, gets kind of surface rust on it, so I had some contact issues and things. But as you can see here, it turns over and cranks. Coming to that conclusion, what I wasn't getting was fuel pressure. So I need to drop the tank and put a fuel pump in it. I'm not getting spark out of the distributor. So everything, all the condensation got down into the base of the distributor, which wasn't melted. That's what I'm chasing down right now. The next step is to put a fuel pump in it and to figure out how to get actual spark to the cylinders. But we've overcome the big issue of it not wanting to turn over by hand. Now it turns over super easy by itself, and all the lights turn on, everything works, the radio works. Yeah, the radio makes noise.
I didn't expect this to turn over at all, but yeah, maybe this has a little life left in it.
Yeah, well, I'd say green light. Let's send it.
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Well, all right, let's pack up the satellite, go bring it back to Mike, and give him the review. We're back with Mike, the owner of the Plymouth Satellite, as well as the owner of that sweet GTX over there. So, Mike, we spent a lot of time on your Plymouth, and I talked to you about the paint. You plan on repainting anyways, yes. So I just did that 1 quarter panel. So it's not the greatest reveal in the world, but it definitely looks a lot better. So I guess without further ado, let's go take a look.
Yeah, I imagine it'll probably be a big change from what I've seen it last.
It's definitely a bit better.
Oh yeah, it is. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is. You guys did a hell of a job.
Oh, thank you.
Oh my.
Yeah, I got to say the center console is probably favorite part of the interior. It's something that I've only seen on this generation of Plymouth. And then I told you that I would polish up this quarter panel. You can see.
Oh wow!
That's
a heck of a lot better than what I thought it would ever be if you worked with it.
Yeah, it's definitely better, but with all the poor body work and then the cruddy paint job, it still doesn't look that great in the light. So for me to go and do the whole entire car like that, just to get a little bit of gloss and make it look, 50% better.
I mean, that's really impressive what you've did. Anyone can see the difference as far as what the paint looks like after you worked on it there, as far as that goes.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Yeah, we definitely put a ton of time and effort into it. We appreciate the opportunity.
Well, and you're very welcome, and I thank you more than anything, because I had to move the cars, and it's like I said, it's really impressive what you guys have done.
Thank you so much. I couldn't say thank you enough. And also thank you to all you guys for watching. If you like videos like this, give this one a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, then hit subscribe. And Mike, there's a couple more cars in the basement of the barn that nobody's seen yet.
Yes.
What are the odds we might be able to pull one of those out and do one of those?
I would say the odds are pretty good.
Pretty good odds. All right, well, definitely subscribe if you want to see what else Mike has hiding in his barn, and we'll catch you next week.